financially viewed was not appropriate at this time. The issue that we've gone through and looked at, there is roughly $12 million that have been spent. Of the $12 million that have been spent, there's roughly a consideration of over $3 million that can be retrieved out of that 12. There'd have to be more study to determine of the remaining $9 million, that's what we call sunk costs, how much of that can be redesigned, recaptured as it relates to looking at the larger issue of the zoo and that exhibit.
Although supporting the Budget and Finance Committee's decision, District 4 Councilmember Tom LaBonge believes there's a way to move the elephant exhibit project forward with the help of GLAZA, the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association.
We believe it's important for the children of Los Angeles, and the joy, just like the joy you see when there's nothing but school buses at Exposition Park, nothing but school buses at Cabrillo Museum, nothing but school buses at the Los Angeles Zoo, nothing but school buses at Sepulveda Basin. All those are important factors. And I got on a school bus as a child, and I remember going to Old Los Angeles Zoo, which was a WPA project. And now we have an opportunity to have a world-class facility and move forward on it. I welcome the conversation, the discussion, the deliberations in the Arts and Parks Committee to look at a way to do this right and to move forward. I thank everybody who always votes. I thank everybody who voted to support the zoo in the county and the city of Los Angeles. And I ask for an aye vote and ask that item D be attached to this. And I thank all the members of the council for the time that we've spent on this issue. It's real important that we don't take this away. We're here a short time, members. We're here a short time, whether it's 4, 8, 12 years. The zoo's here for a lifetime. And I believe it's important for the children of this city and their parents and grandparents to have an experience. The challenge that we're going to face, more people are going to use our public parks. They're going to go to our public museums. They're going to go to our zoo. And this is an opportunity. One cost that Disneyland pays for a whole family. So thank you very much, and we'll continue this to do the right thing for the city of Los Angeles, the right thing for the children of this city.
District 6 Councilmember Tony Cardenas talks about the reversal of mistakes and contends that the City Council did not have complete information when they first approved the project.
We're here today because new information obtained through a recent lawsuit and also a Freedom of Information Act came to our attention earlier this year. The council did not have this information in 2006, and if you look at the tape, it was not deliberated like this in 2006 either. I believe if the council had examined the medical records, the underlying medical costs it takes to sustain elephants in zoos, and the rising construction costs, we would have made a sensible, more responsible decision in 2006. By the way, I did vote in 2006 aye for this matter. A decision that 12 other cities across the country have made, which is to stop the archaic practice of exhibiting elephants. That's what's before us today. Now that we have this information, we must act. The city will lose credibility and the public's trust if it does not do nothing after seeing the vital information and zoo medical records revealed through the Freedom of Information Act and public record requests, the very tools the public uses to inform us so that we can make the proper decisions. Through history, we've seen what happens when government does not act to reverse decisions and potential costly mistakes. I think the people would be proud of the city to see it is willing to reverse its mistakes and protect the public from huge financial hits in the present and in the future. We cannot ignore that 13 elephants have died at the LA Zoo since 1975. Along with those deaths came costly surgeries, costly medicine, and hundreds of hours of staff time trying to treat the ailments of elephants living in inadequate spaces.
So now we're voting on all of Budget and Finance Report plus 30C. Okay? Please open the roll. Please open the roll as amended, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes, 2 noes.
Okay, that passes as amended. So what has happened, just for members of the public and for the City Council, we have passed the Budget and Finance Committee report, which referred the following issues relative to the elephant pachyderm exhibit back to Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Committees for further consideration. These were A, B, and C. Instructed the CAO and CLA to report back to the Council relative to an analysis of options for privatization. It was everything that was from the Budget and Finance Report, plus asking the Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Committee to identify alternative options for funding and to bring the entire matter back to Council by January 24th, 2009.
And joining us now is District 4 Councilmember Tom LaBonge. Councilman, welcome back to Council Week in Review.
Always great to be here. Thank you for what you do, Jack, and everybody at Channel 35.
Well, we're delighted you could come in and talk on such an important issue. Before we get into the details, though, how's Billy doing? How's his health?
Well, his health is well. He has great zookeepers, the staff that takes care of him, love him and care for him and try to meet his every need. And he's anxious to get a larger space at the Los Angeles Zoo.
$12 million, of course, already spent on the project. At least another $30 million would be needed for completion. The question has been, can the city of Los Angeles, in all this financial crisis, afford to even go forward with the project?
And that's a great question. And to answer that question, the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association stepped up. This is a not-for-profit organization that has been constantly for over 30 years supporting the zoo with fundraising efforts, raising over $30 million in this time. They are going to step up and pay for the cost of what the interest is on the project, which will help offset the city budget up to $14 million. They're pledged to cover the cost of $1.2 million a year. No one else has stepped up like that in our city's history in a project such as this size and magnitude. So we're anxious to find out the details. I will have a committee meeting that will address these specific facts and bring it back to the city council in early January, which will have that proposal in form on a desk. At the same time, there's other issues that we look at. As you know, the council did halt the construction project right now and asked us to look at other uses of the area, similar to what Phoenix Zoo has done with a large area. But my interest is to try to convince the city council that the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association will step up, will help the city budget at this time, and contribute greatly to the improvement of this proposed project and get it back going.
Of course, one of the arguments made for discontinuing the project, we heard Mr. Cardenas say this a couple of times, was that the council initially did not have complete information. What's changed, if anything, in your view?
Well, I don't think anything's changed. I think Mr. Cardenas is a great advocate, but I don't think his facts is correct. But that's, albeit, that's what happens in politics. The issue is we worked real hard with our city engineer, with the professionals, to create a great space there. There is interest that we create a space for even larger than what the San Diego Zoo has for elephants, and we will go forward if we could convince the rest of the council that the great gift that the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association is presenting to the city is accepted, that we can move the project ahead.
Well, in fact, GLAZA, the Zoo Association, has been not only stepping up financially, but they've been tremendously supportive in other ways. They've been a crucial asset.
A great asset, and I know you're a radio man, Jack. You remember Beach Rogers. He's one of the many hundreds of docents who are out there who help the zoo educate the young people and to provide the education necessary for the conservation projects. You know, every day in the wild, elephants are being killed, whether it's in Asia or Africa. There's only about less than 400 elephants at approved zoos throughout the United States. And there's under 200 Asian elephants. This would be an Asian elephant exhibit. It would teach people about this. You would have a greater understanding of the plight of elephants and hopefully help not just in conservation and education programs at our Los Angeles Zoo, but in programs that do it throughout the world, in Asia and in Africa.
If people don't know, GLAZA does a lot of other things too. For example, I went with them to Kenya last year and saw African elephants. I know that they just came back from the hinterlands of India, an interesting time to have been in India, but they take people on educational and nature tours all over the world.
Well, they sure do, and the children of Los Angeles won't be able to do that, but they will be able to come to their zoo. I know one of the things I love to see is a sea of buses at the zoo parking lot, a sea of buses at Expo Park, and going to the Natural History Museum, a sea of buses at Cabrillo Museum. Anywhere there's an educational institute that the city runs, I love the fact that children get to go there. And if they could come to the zoo and see a variety of animals that are cared for and learn about nature, learn about all the challenges, it will only help them as they go forward in life and being involved with nature.
Of course, as you know, Councilman, there are other major zoos throughout the country that have made the decision to eliminate elephant exhibits. Detroit, of course, comes to mind. Is this something we're going to have to consider sooner or later?
No, I think Detroit made a decision. See, you got to study that a little deeper. Some made economic decisions. They didn't do it for philosophical reasons. They did it for economic reasons. But the voters of Detroit approved a bond that improves the park, the zoo that they have in their park, for other issues at their zoo. There's about 60 zoos that are enhancing their facilities for elephants, including the Dallas Zoo, the Denver Zoo, the National Zoo in Washington. Not all the information is square. when I say that. They had a Channel 4 did a Today Show, did an interview. They showed a map of the country. Our very own Robert Kovacic, a local reporter, was saying then 12 closed. But he didn't say over 60 have enhanced and improved their areas for zoos. So they've got to get the information out and also realize that GLASA is going to help and offset the cost to the taxpayers. Remember, there's been two big elections, one for the county for Prop A and one for the city and Prop CC for the zoo, that the people said overwhelmingly, we support the zoo, we want to see the master plan implemented. And I think the work that has been created to create and design this new area will only enhance the quality for the animals' health and welfare, as well as for the education of the young people and others to the efforts and focus on the elephants in our zoo.
As you know, of course, it's been suggested the possibility of a sanctuary somewhere on the periphery of Los Angeles, the northern San Fernando Valley, as an example. In your opinion, is that viable as an idea?
Well, I would welcome any effort to discuss a conservation center, a wildlife area there, but the cost is great. And how do you do that? You don't transfer these funds to that. I don't see how that would work. I would like to discuss that in our committee. We'll look at that option, but I don't know. I never heard a full funding plan at all from the proponents of this measure.
If I'm correct, I think there are only 2 elephant sanctuaries in existence right now in North America, certainly in the United States. Has it been discussed what it might take to get Billy to one of those sanctuaries and what the cost might be of such a thing? Well,
there's a cost to that. There's a cost to everything. But I think there's also got to look at the relationship the Los Angeles Zoo has with the American Zoological Society, AZA. Maybe there would be a placement within another zoo with an area that has already been built. Oakland has a tremendous facility right across the bay from San Francisco. And I visited Oakland. I visited about 20 different zoos from Jacksonville, San Diego, Oakland, Portland, our National Zoo, the Bronx Zoo, zoos in Berlin, in England, in France. I study this, and they're important facilities. You know, these tough economic times, Jack, people are going to look for places to go. And for the price of one admission to Disneyland, you could take a whole family for a whole afternoon and have a wonderful time, plus, at the Los Angeles Zoo. And more people are going to be looking for that because we're in tougher times. That's why GLASA is stepping up to say we're going to come up with the money to offset the tax on the general fund so that this project can go forward. I got to get that all in writing, got to get it all laid out, get the approval of the CAO, bring it back to the full council, and hopefully they'll make the right decision to move ahead with this project. At the same time, too, the council has stopped the project, as I mentioned, and we're looking for other alternatives, but I hope to prevail in the end for the good of the city of Los Angeles.
The other question that I'm sure has occurred to a lot of people who have been following this discussion is, what about the health care for Billy and for any other elephant that might be put in a sanctuary or whatever? The health care infrastructure right now, of course, is at the zoo in Griffith Park. What kind of care and what kind of cost would that be if you were to move Billy someplace else?
Well, that is true. We're going to study that. And also, I know recently at Paws, which is the West Coast equivalent in Tennessee, there is a sanctuary. A 27-year-old elephant died. So it's not all necessarily perfect. I know sometimes they keep them enclosed in their own spaces. They don't necessarily roam around as much as you think. They're not just out there. They are in a more of a controlled fashion. But all this would be looked at in our study as the committee moves forward.
Over the years, I have seen you, even when you were not in elective office, at the zoo many times, lurking in the background, watching the operation. I think you would acknowledge that over the past 15, 20 years, there have been some problems at the zoo that have needed addressing.
Absolutely, and I remember as a child going to the old Griffith Park Zoo where between this camera and I was the fence of where the elephant exhibit was, and this is the old zoo by the merry-go-round, and they came to the new zoo, what is now the new zoo in 1965, created a space, but now, after many years, they've studied and created a greater area. I wish we had done this long, long ago. I'm sorry that animals have died in the Los Angeles Zoo, just as we have death in our own lives. But there's an important lesson to learn. They are important to be able to create a space that will welcome them so that the people can learn about their plight in nature, which is so important. Under the direction of the American Zoological Society, I think it's real important to have that there. And I also want to talk about the staff that's there now. The veterinarian, the chief veterinarian, the zoo director, the individuals who work it. They are so committed and they are so caring that every city resident is proud, would be proud of them for their efforts they would do.
Before we get to another topic for the very last minute, quickly, how's the gorilla habitat working out at the zoo?
Oh, wonderful. You should go and see them. It's especially, come again, especially this time of year. Come earlier in the day, because late in the day the sun goes away a little bit earlier and it gets time, but they like to kind of get back inside. They love their new exhibit there, and it's fascinating to see them interact with each other and look and stare at us.
Finally, for the last 60 seconds, we've been talking about Griffith Park. You brought up a couple of times other things there. What about the light display this year?
Oh, it's a fabulous light display, thanks to the Department of Water and Power and community activism. They've had 2 weeks of all walking, no cars. Next week, they're going to start the cars. There'll be ability to drive through, but they've had up to 19,000 people on one night to come and walk through the beautiful Crystal Springs Drive there between the zoo parking lot and Park Central. And another treat, Jack, is if you go out on a Saturday or Sunday between 11 and 4, go to the historic merry-go-round where Walt Disney used to take his daughters and ride on the merry-go-round, hear some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful holiday music that comes on that organ right there, then the player piano right at the historic merry-go-round in Griffith Park. A great day, great treat. In the evening, go to the observatory and see the stars.
I've done all of those things and I love it.
All right.
Not as much as you do because you're such a proponent.
Oh, no, and if you ever want to go hiking, meet me at about 5:45 at the Charlie Turner Trailhead in the observatory parking lot. See the beautiful rise of the sun in the city.
Well, I'm usually somewhere else at 5:45 in the morning, but I appreciate the invitation.
You're at KFWB.
Exactly. District 4 Council Member Tom LaBonge, thanks so much for coming in and talking with us on Council.
Thank you, and
Week.
everybody, happy holidays.
Again, the council voted to halt construction on the elephant exhibit pending further review in the Arts, Parks, Health and Aging Committee headed by Councilmember LaBonge. You can listen to city council meetings as well as committee and commission meetings on the telephone by using the city's council phone system. In the downtown area, dial 213-621-CITY. In West LA, dial 310-471-CITY. For the San Pedro area, dial 310-547-CITY. And in the San Fernando Valley, dial 818-904-9450. Just follow the recorded instructions for the meetings you want to hear. And we invite you to address the Los Angeles City Council on any item on the council agenda, as well as during public comment. You may come downtown to City Hall or go to the Van Nuys City Hall and participate via video teleconferencing. Remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Council Week in Review can be seen Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending December 5th, 2008. On behalf of Ted Lynn and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Good morning, everyone. This is Friday, December the 12th. This is the Los Angeles City Council. And while we are awaiting quorum, I would like to ask Mr. Tom LaBonge to begin his presentation. Mr. LaBonge, are you ready? Are you ready, Mr. LaBonge? All right. Okay. Is there any other council member who would like to go and make presentation at this time? There's been a closure of the 101, so a lot of people have been delayed. If Mr. Alarcon's staff would check in, let us know whether he is stuck on the freeway, I would appreciate that. We're waiting the arrival of Ms. Hahn, Mr. Huizar, Mr. Parks, Mr. Reyes and Rosendahl. Thank you to Mr. Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Ms. Gruhl, Mr. LaBonge, and Mr. Garcetti for being here. Mr. Zine is excused. And Mr. Cardenas is excused. Mr. LaBonge, you ready to go? Still awaiting the arrival of Mr. Alarcon, Ms. Hahn, Huizar, Parks, Reyes, Rosendahl. Thank you to Ms. Gruhl, Mr. Garcetti, Mr. LaBonge, Mr. Smith, Weiss, Wesson for being here. There's been a freeway closure this morning. It's caused a backup in traffic getting into downtown. So we may be experiencing some delay because of that. Appreciate your patience. Thank you, Mr. Alarcon is here. Thank you very much. Quorum call from Ms. Hahn or Mr. Huizar, Mr. Parks, Mr. Reyes and Rosendahl. Mr. Zine is excused. Ms. Gruhl is ready with her presentation. All of her participants are here. So, Ms. Gruhl, why don't we start with you? Thank you very much.
Do I get a gavel? All right.
Good. So I'm going to...
Thank you very much, Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much, Madam President. And we want you all, don't sit down. We want you to come be part of this.
We're going to start with our presentations.
Everybody.
Tom, Don.
DFT. Colleagues, it's my really distinct honor and pleasure to honor someone that has given years of public service to Los Angeles. And I know it will not end, but it's ended for this particular category in your life. After 10 years as a taxi cab commissioner, Joe Chiswick has decided to retire, and it's with great honor that I acknowledge and recognize his outstanding service that he provided to the city of Los Angeles. Until his recent retirement, Joe was one of the longest-serving city commissioners, having the unique distinction of being appointed to serve as a city commissioner by the last 3 consecutive mayors. During his service as a commissioner, Joe helped Los Angeles maintain a robust transportation for hire industry that serves residents old and young, rich and poor, tourists, and business leaders. He oversaw rate increases, the yo-yoing of gas prices, bandit taxi cab reduction, refranchising, and recently the launch of a Hail a Cab program in Ms. Perry's district and her leadership and Mr. Garcetti's district. He worked hard also to ensure the safety of drivers and passengers. And Joe did it all the while he was serving as the chairman and chief executive officer to the Los Angeles-based Mercury Air Group. Joe joined Mercury in 1984 to help build this company into one of the largest privately owned aviation services in the world. Joe also has provided his services and talents to many other agencies, serving on the boards including the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce, the Homeland Security Advisory Council, the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation, the U.S. Navy Seabees Foundation, and the Board of Visitors for the Graduate School of Public Policy at Pepperdine University. There is no doubt that Joe has left his mark on the transportation system of Los Angeles. And as a city, we're extremely grateful for your 10 years he gave us as a commissioner. He really is someone that when I became chair of transportation, I knew nothing. I can admit that now. I knew nothing about the taxi cab system in Los Angeles. And Joe gave me a tutorial on how it works, and is someone who I think has given a lot to this city and has been incredible, and didn't realize your historical significance of serving under 3 mayors and the 10 years of service as a commissioner. It's really incredible. And we have a proclamation that is signed, resolution, that is signed by all of the council members, the mayor, our controller, and city attorney to say thank you, Joe. Thank you for giving back to the city. Thank you for serving as a commissioner, and we will continue to value your input and civic responsibility here in the city of Los Angeles. So I ask that you all join me in congratulating and acknowledging Joe Chizik for his years of service. Thank you, Joe. And now you get to say a few words.
I don't know if I can. I'm so, all the things that you said about me, I've forgotten about. So, but anyways, thank you. It was my honor and my pleasure and a sense of duty that I had to serve this city. The city has been good to me personally, to my family, and to my business. And I think that's the least that people like myself can do, is to serve the city of Los Angeles. This is a great city. The time that I had to work with city employees, those that were so dedicated, particularly in the Department of Transportation, among the best people that serve the city of any city of the world, I had the pleasure of working with. And some of them are behind me right now. And we started with a commission that was non-existent prior to us getting involved in it, and I believe that we provide this city now a for-hire transportation industry that is second to none anywhere in this country. And we keep on working on it. And by the way, I still, even though I'm not the commissioner any longer, I still continue to take taxis wherever I can. So for those of you that have honored me, I thank you very much. Wendy, for doing all you've done in terms of assisting the commission and assisting the industry, and so many of you city council members that I've worked with in the past. Thank you very much for supporting it, and thanks again for this honor.
Don't leave quite yet. Mr. Rosendahl wants to say a few words to you.
Yeah, before you leave the moment there, Joe, first of all, it's been an honor for me to know you for the last 5 years. First, when I was running for office, you were one of those important people that I wooed, found out that you were a veteran like I am, and we talked about the VA property and the issues of our veterans. And by the way, I met the new executive director yesterday, this great lady that's been a nurse, and she's really making a difference. So we'll be able to do a lot more together, you and I, with the VA property. But then when I won the office, I ended up on the Transportation Committee with Miss Wendy and got to see you almost every other week when you'd come before the meetings. And I want to thank you for your public service to our city. You're a strong, steadfast fellow. And then your activity with the Chamber of Commerce, where you've made a big difference in bringing business to this great city. You're a great civil servant, and we know you'll be back in other ways, or I'll hopefully bring you into a lot of my stuff. But thank you so much for what you've done for all of us. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl, and I'd like to add my thanks, too, for your help on the HALA taxi program in downtown Los Angeles and in Hollywood. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. And
Thank you. Ms. Gruhl has another presentation, but we'll call the roll in the meantime. So, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti.
First item of business.
11 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Okay, we have first item of business, Madam Clerk.
Approval of the minutes.
Councilmember Alarcon moves. Ms. Hahn seconds.
Next are commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Smith moves. Mr. Rosendahl seconds.
Madam President, would you like to go through public comments?
All right, we will go back to the presentations at this time, and then we will go to...
I'm sorry, Madam President. Item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing. This is a determination of public convenience or...
We just want to call the roll call at this time, and then we will go back to the agenda. All right, and then I think that Mr. Alarcon may be ready to make... Are you ready for your presentation, Mr. Alarcon? We'll go to Mr. Alarcon next.
Madam President and members, as a former teacher, it gives me a special pleasure to recognize teachers who are doing phenomenal things, and we have one at Sylmar High School who is just such a person. First, let me say that one of the things that I'm most proud of in terms of the work that we were able to do in the State Senate was that I introduced a bill that would incentivize the National Board Certification of teachers from California. At the time, I believe we only had 4 in the school district, and now we literally have hundreds. Well, one of them is standing just to my left. We created incentives, and National Board Certification means that you are a top quality teacher in the nation. And so, of course, we added a bonus onto that designation, and that sort of incentivized the teachers to inspire to do that. But they still had to go through a rigorous review in order to qualify. Well, we knew at that time that we had a very special teacher at Sylmar High School, and we know now that he's indeed proven that the National Board Certification is not just a one-year event. It is a life commitment. So let me introduce to you Jose L. Navarro from Sylmar High School. He is a social studies and U.S. history teacher, which is what I taught when I did my 2 years of teaching in the community. He has been selected as one of 5 California Teachers of the Year for 2008 and 2009 from over 300,000 teachers in the state of California. The purpose of the California Teacher of the Year Award is to pay tribute to the tireless efforts of our state's outstanding teachers, and we identify and honor exemplary and high qualified teachers throughout California within a structure of local and regional and statewide recognition activities. So to be selected one of 5 teachers in California as Teachers of the Year is an incredible representation of the state's teachers, and serves to inspire and motivate all the other teachers who are doing good work, but certainly have not reached this level, this plateau. Mr. Navarro is a graduate of Western Oregon University with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1995. He is currently enrolled at Mount St. Mary's College, where he will get his graduate degree in education. And prior to being at Sylmar High, he was in the Peace Corps, where he was an environmental educator from 1996 to 1998. He has several leadership positions in professional groups, including Facing History and Ourselves, where he is a board member. Teachers Curriculum Institute, where he is a trainer, consultant, curriculum designer. Urban Education Partnership, Humanitas, site coordinator, consultant, and Social Justice Small Learning Community Lead Teacher from 2007 to the present. I can't list all of the training activities. He's actually been involved in many staff development programs, and he is a designated mentor teacher at Sylmar High School, as well as a master teacher to those students at Cal State Northridge who aspire to be teachers. He's a very busy teacher. But I do want to state to you some of his awards, because I think it indicates the tremendous work that he's been doing. He was Most Inspirational Teacher in 2003 and 2006. I don't know what happened in between. Somebody else was inspired. He was Coach of the Year in the Mission Valley League in 2003. National Board Certified Teacher from 2004 till 2014. They designate him in 10-year increments. He received a Certificate of Excellence from the Board of Education in 2004. California Scholarship Federation recognized teacher in 2004, 2005, 6, and 8. University of California Distinguished Teacher Award in 2006. Los Angeles Daily News Coach of the Year 2007, I guess in his spare time. LAUSD Teacher of the Year in 2008, 2009. He's clearly having a great year because he was also Los Angeles County Teacher of the Year this year, as well as State Teacher of the Year. But to really get an indication of who Jose is, I want to read to you a part of the essay that he submitted in his application to be considered for Teacher of the Year at the state level. He says, "Every person in my family has an art in which they excel. My father is a dancer, and my brother is a sculptor and painter, while my sisters are photographers and actors. I am a teacher. I bring beauty to this world through my teaching as much as my brother does through his paintings. I am able to exercise a vision and see things others simply do not through my lessons. And as all artists do, I use my environment for inspiration and my heart as a guide. Teaching is how I share my heart with the world. Teaching is my vocation, and with any vocation, it takes discipline, self-reflection, studying, and practice to hone a skill and make it an art. I have dedicated myself to becoming the best teacher I can for no other reason than my students deserve it." So it's my pleasure to present a resolution that is speedily coming from upstairs to Mr. Jose Navarro. Oh, here it is. To Jose Navarro for his outstanding work as a teacher and a community member, and to congratulate him for the prestigious recognition of Teacher of the Year at the state, and might as well throw in the county and school board level as well. But I think his words sum up a man who has been a leader for his community, an inspiration to his students, and I hope he is a reflection of the incredible commitment to teaching that we so often do not recognize in the thousands of teachers who help support our kids for the rest of their lives. So let me present this to Jose, and I know you'd rather hear from him. Please, don't worry about it.
First off, I'd just like to say thank you for the recognition. I'm very proud. I'm honored to represent this city, the city I love. I'm very proud to be recognized for doing something I love doing. My whole life I want to be a teacher, and like council person Alacon already said, I try to be the best I can for no other reason my students deserve it. I got to admit, I do feel a little vindicated as well. Being the only teacher recognized in Los Angeles, we're often taken apart in the media for everything bad going on, but I believe that this reward, when it is actually 420,000 teachers that are nominated for this award, when one comes from Los Angeles, it forces people to re-examine their assumptions they have about Los Angeles and LAUSD. And so I do feel a little vindicated in that. I really thank the council for the support of education throughout the years. I'm looking forward to working with everyone on this board. Thank you. Yeah, I brought some students with me. I brought some members of my mentoring program. They mentor the younger students who are coming in right behind them. They've seen a lot in their life. Sylmar is a pretty tough area. They've made it. They're on track to graduate, and they share their experience with the people younger to them. And then I brought two people are going to be mentors next year. This is Carly. Right here I have Michelle, Calicia, Victor. Mr. Acosta is my boss. And right here, Diana Osorio, Kelly Hernandez, Jazz Marie Robertson, Abel Regalado, Rebecca Tamayo, and Miguel Preciado. They are our future, and I feel like we're in pretty good hands every time I look at their faces.
Thank you, and I'll present this. Actually, we don't have all the signatures of the council members, so we're going to circulate this very quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon. Our next presentation will be Mr. Rosendahl.
I'm going to introduce you, then you're all going to come up here. Good morning, colleagues, and good morning to the great city of Los Angeles. We all are getting into the holiday spirit around this horseshoe and throughout this great city and this great nation. And I would like the Angel City Choral Group to just come on up for a second and sing us a song, and then we're going to talk about this great group. Come on right up through here. Right up through there.
Do you want us to sing towards the council? Or?
You can sing to the council. You can turn around. You can do whatever you want. Okay? Good morning. Good morning. Recorded.
Christmas bells are ringing. Marquee while the song we sing. Pleasant tidings will we bring. Ding dong dong, ding ding dong dong. Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, caroling, caroling. Caroling, caroling, caroling. Caroling, caroling near and far. Christmas bells are ringing. Following, following yonder star. Christmas bells are ringing. Sing we all this happy morn. Lo, the King of Heaven is born. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Christmas bells, Christmas bells, Christmas bells, Christmas bells, Christmas, Christmas bells are ringing. Caroling, 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 caroling. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Stand behind me. Okay. So we just wanted to wake everybody up in this great city, in this great nation, in this great world. We're in the holiday season. It's the time to love one another. And the Angel City Choral is a multi-talented, multicultural ensemble of 120 men and women that truly reflect the spirit of Los Angeles, the city it calls home. Performing an extraordinary repertoire ranging from classical and folk to pop and gospel have become the group's hallmark. Los Angeles Choral has appeared at such venues as Staples Center, the Los Angeles Convention Center, the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, the John Anson Ford Amphitheater, and the UCLA Pauley Pavilion. The choral has performed with Stevie Wonder and all kinds of other folks, and they've also been, of course, on PBS. And they've been the American tenors. The group's proudest accomplishments, however, is its ongoing commitment to the Los Angeles community. Each December and May, the choral organizes and performs their annual Tour of Hope, a day of sharing through cheerful song and charitable donations, bringing comfort to those Angelinos who can use it the most, frankly. Thank you for delivering this message of love and peace for the past 12 years for those less fortunate during the annual Tour of Hope. In fact, with their gift of music, you bring light, joy, and happiness to those who need it most. They single out victims of domestic violence, people in hospital situations, and I just want to present this certificate in appreciation for what they've done for delivering the message of love and peace for the past 12 years to those less fortunate during the annual Tour of Hope. With your gift of music, you bring light, joy, and happiness to those who need it the most. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Sue Fink, and I'm the conductor of Angel City Chorale. And we want to thank Bill Rosendahl because he's helping us take our message of hope to people in the city. He's provided us with buses to make our tour possible. And because of that, we want to present him with the special CD that we just finished producing. That's called The Road Home. We're doing it in partnership with OPCC, which helps the homeless and people rebuilding their lives. And this is the CD. Thank you so much.
Bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. And again, thank you all for all the cheer you bring to everybody in this holiday season. Bless you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Labange, is your presentation ready yet? Still stuck in traffic. All right. Well, all right, then we'll go on to Mr. Reyes. Okay. We'll go through the agenda then.
Item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing. This is a determination of public convenience or necessity in Council District 10. Findings and recommendations are required, and there is a request to hold this on the desk.
All right, we'll hold that on the desk. Next item.
Next are items 2 through 16, and those are items noticed for public hearing. There is a request to receive and file items 3 and 4 inasmuch as payment has been made, and there is also a request to continue item number 2 to December 16th.
All right, we will continue item 2 without objection, and there are no cards on the other items that you referenced, so without objection, those matters will be approved.
The vote needs to be taken on 6 through, I'm sorry.
So open the roll on 6 through...
I'm sorry, it's 5 through 16.
Okay, then open the roll on items 5 through 16 without objection.
11 ayes.
Thank you very much. Next item.
Next are items 17 through 25, and those are items for which public hearings have been held. The report for item number 24 has been submitted.
There is a request to speak on item 23.
Madam President, that item has been heard in committee.
Is there any... I'm sorry, if you can keep the noise down on the sides, it's difficult to hear up here. Colleagues, are there any specials? All right. Madam Clerk, please proceed on that. What were your comment on item 23?
Madam President, item 23 was heard in committee, therefore public hearing has been held unless unless it is reopened in council. The card does not need to be.
All right, there's no need to do that. There's no one requesting it to be heard as special from my colleagues. All right, so open the roll on that, on those items.
That would
Close
be
the roll.
17 through 25.
Yes.
11 ayes.
All right, thank you.
Next are items 26 through 34, and those are items which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. And Madam President, there are cards on item number 30 and 34.
All right, colleagues, are there any specials? Any specials on any of those items? Can you just open the roll? Open the roll on those items, please. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, next items.
Next is a special meeting.
Okay, since we've already taken
All right, Madam Clerk, if you can go ahead and call the roll on the special meeting, please.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 11 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
All right, let's go through the items on this agenda.
Item number 35 is an item in which public hearing has been held. There's a request to continue item 35 to December 17th.
All right, without objection, that continuance is...
Continued to December 17th?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Do we have to vote on that? All right, that's fine.
Unanimous vote.
All right, that'll be without objection.
Next are items 36 through 38, and those are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. And Madam President, there is a request to continue item 37 to December 16th.
That'll be without objection.
And Madam President, there are cards on 36 and 38.
Any members, colleagues, anyone calling any of those items special for the special meeting? Those items will be called special for cards then.
Madam President, would the council like to recess the special meeting and continue those items to the regular meeting?
Is there one more item on the special agenda, item 39?
I'm sorry. Yes, item 39 is the closed session item.
All right, that'll be fine. Mr. Reyes, yes, Mr. Reyes.
Can we continue 39 to Tuesday, please?
That's fine, without objection.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, did you get that?
Yes,
great.
that item, closed session items, continued to December 16th.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. All right, so we will now recess the special meeting and go back to the general meeting, the regular meeting.
That brings council back to items called special.
All right. And now we will go back to presentations if others are prepared. Mr. Labange, are you ready? Okay, very good.
Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Good morning, Madam President and members here. I'm joined by Chief Perry, our great fire chief for the Los Angeles City Fire Department. I'm joined by Task Force 29 that serves both our areas of the 10th and the 4th District and all the city of Los Angeles. They know no boundaries. Captain Kelly and Captain Olvera here along with their crew, and Wilshire, the famous dog, the most famous dog in the Los Angeles Fire Department. Get up here, Wilshire, real quick there. Where's that hand mic there, Kenny? I need that hand mic. So, but we're here, Chief Barry and I are here today principally to salute one of two great brothers who served the city of Los Angeles. First, I want to introduce Bill Finn, who recently retired after 40-plus years, 45 years, out of Station 14 down on Central Avenue. Give him a big hand there. And we're going to honor today Jimmy Finn, who did 40 years with the city of Los Angeles. So give him a hand here. But Brian Penrod is here, who was one of the firefighters that Jimmy supervised. And Wilshire, the dog here, is going to say the most important words that one should do when there's an emergency. Come out here, Wilshire. Come out there, right there. And get that camera down there. Right there. Here we go.
Sit down. No, stay.
Sit. Watch this.
911.
That's it. 911. Do it again.
Good.
911. Good job. Good job, Wilshire. Thank you very much. All right. Well, it's great to have you, Wilshire. Amazed Miss Hahn, who is so proud of all her fire companies down in the harbor. But Wilshire is there. James Finn is one of the great firefighters of Los Angeles, and he was appointed to this department in 1968 on the 10th of February. His Los Angeles Fire Department assignments took him throughout the city, from South Los Angeles to Station 66, 65, and 64s, through downtown Los Angeles to Station 3 and 9, and to the San Fernando Valley at Station 90 at Van Nuys Airport. He served as the Chief Officer's aide in Battalion 11 and Division 2, and he also was a dispatcher here in our Operations Control Division. In 1978, James Finn was promoted to the rank of captain and assigned to Station 61 in the Park La Brea Miracle Mile area of the city of Los Angeles. Jim Finn transferred to Operations Control Division and was a supervisor as a dispatcher in 1988, and soon after that, he transferred back to old Fire Station 29 on Western Avenue. That was the oldest fire station in the city, built in 1912, where they used to have steel beams that held up the roof. And the second beam, they had a little figurine of a duck, so the tillerman would duck and not get his head clipped off as they went out to respond on Western Avenue. Back then, a fire on Manhattan Place, where Mary McLaren, Wilshire would like this story, was a wonderful Irish woman who lived there, and she had 2 addresses and had 6 dogs, because you know the code says you only can have 3 dogs per address. Mary's house caught fire, and Jim Finn and crew helped save her house and also helped put plastic all over her house so she could stay in the house with the dogs and live in the place that she loved so many years. It was that kind of personal involvement that Jim Finn, throughout his years, was involved in Station 29 in the community. He's a tremendous leader as a captain. He was part of the transition from old 29s on Western to new 29s at Wilshire and Van Ness, and he made that happen seamlessly. He's been a department field advocate for many years, and also very active in the Los Angeles City Fire Department Historical Society. And in 2004, he was voted as the Firefighter of the Year by his peers, the men and women of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. Members, all of you signed this resolution to salute and congratulate James Finn for his 40 years of dedicated service. And today, we bring him down here in front of the council to give him that proper recognition. Please welcome Jim Finn, the great retired fire captain, City of Los Angeles. You got to say some words. And I want to introduce your wife after.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Good. We'll get him afterwards. Thanks. You want to say something first, Chief? Yeah.
Okay. Madam President, members of the council, I just want to take opportunity to say how proud and pleased I am to be here to thank Captain Finn for his many years of service to the department. He's a true icon on the fire department. Everyone knows him, and for his service to the community. He's been at Fire Station 29 for a very long time. I worked there with him, or he mentored me and taught me how to be an effective captain, effective officer. But he mentored not only me, many officers that came through there, many firefighters that came through there. I just want to say to him, thank you very much for all your years of service, and thank you for the communities that you've served.
Thank you.
Jim.
Thank you, Chief. Barry. Now, Jim Finn.
Good morning, members of the council. I'd like to first introduce my family this year. You already met my brother, Bill, my wife, Jeannie, and my daughter, Jennifer.
Good job.
I'd like to thank you very much for this honor today, and especially Councilman Labange, who I've worked in his district for 27 and a half years, so we got to know each other pretty well. And I'd like to thank the members of Task Force 29 that came down, and of course my buddy Wilshire. Thank you very much.
Good job. All right, now, members, thank you very much. Let's give Jim Finn a big hand for 40 years, and Bill for 45 years, and Wilshire. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. I think Ms. Gruhl will be our next presenter.
You don't remember that? When you guys went to the airport.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're almost done.
Yes, we got to. Oh, good.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, this is with mixed feelings we are here today because we're honoring Jeff Orr posthumously for his extraordinary efforts as a city staff member in the city of Los Angeles. We're here to honor the life of Jeffrey Stewart Orr, who sadly passed away from cancer on November 13, 2008, one day short of his 49th birthday. He was an outstanding employee of the city's information technology agency, an exemplary son, brother, husband, and father. He was born November 14, 1959 in Pocatello, Idaho. Did I say that right? Pocatello. To Orville and Jerry Orr. He grew up with siblings, Brian and Liz. Jeff later married Carol Hogan and lived happily together with them for 20 years, raising 4 wonderful sons, Jason, Max, Roy, and Ian, who are with us today. And I did ask them to make sure they're taking good care of as a mother, that they're taking good care of you. Jeff graduated from Cal State Northridge in 1984. After college, he started his career with the Data Service Bureau, which is now, of course, known as the Information Technology Agency, as a contract programmer, and then became a city employee in October of 1985. During his time with ITA, Jeff accomplished many things, including designing and developing the first ITA computer help desk and developing and managing the city's group-wise email system, which we depend on every single day here in the city of Los Angeles. He was also the driving force in the implementation of the consolidation of an email system, which resulted in a reduction of email servers from 120 to 35, thereby standardizing email in 35 departments, reducing costs and improving efficiencies to the employees as citizens of Los Angeles. Jeff was also one of the main champions of reducing spam in the city's email system, helping to eliminate 68 million spam messages of 159 million messages we received in 2007. He loved to keep track of email statistics from month to month and year to year, not only to show his team's accomplishments, but also to project how email would continue to grow in volume and importance to those that he served. He also conducted the infamous group-wise administrators meetings, which brought together an educated system administrators from all 40 departments. Outside of work, Jeff was also a wonderful person who had a great sense of humor. He loved to play tricks on his friends and tell stories. He also loved to travel with his family. Jeff and his family went on many memorable vacations on trips through the Canadian Rockies and sailing and fishing in the Sierras. He had a passion for life and, from what I understand, lived it for the fullest. Therefore, it is with great honor that I present this resolution to the family of Jeffrey Stewart Orr and extend our heartfelt thanks for what he did for the city of Los Angeles and our condolences for his death. We will be forever grateful, the entire city family, for his contributions to the city of Los Angeles. And this is presented with all of the council members, the mayor, the city attorney, the city controller, to say thank you for sharing your husband and your son with us. You see behind us so many ITA employees that I know he felt very, very, very close to. And I know that Randy may be on her way down, but if we could ask you to come say a few words on behalf of ITA before we ask the family to say a few words. Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Councilmember Gruhl. Thank you for presenting this honor to ITA and also my coworker and very dear friend Jeff Orr. So I can't say it any better than the council member did. Thank you very much for all your support through the years, and thank you for honoring my coworker.
Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce his extraordinary wife and partner, Carol Hogan, to say a few words.
Hi, I'd like to thank everybody here for this recognition for my husband. He spent his entire adult life in service to the city of Los Angeles, and he took his job very passionately. And it was almost all he was focused on. And I enjoyed hearing every evening about all the stories that came down from work every day. And I think he would be honored, along with myself, my sons, and my in-laws, Jerry and Orville and Liz today, that you're actually recognizing him in this proclamation here. And I wanted to just thank you and make sure you understand that it means a lot to me. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol. And we've had the pleasure of seeing some great pictures of Jeffrey, not only here, I think, at work, and how he enjoyed his life. And he will be remembered by the entire city family, and I'm glad that we could thank him and his memory and recognizing him in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you so much, Madam President, and thank you to all of the family and the members of the ITA family that are here today to honor Jeffrey Stewart Orr. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next presentation will be Mr. Huizar.
It's good to see you. Good to see you. I think I'm welcome, Mama. Give her a speech. I'm going to present your certificate and then you're going to speak, okay? You want to bring them up here too? Why not? Whoever came with you.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues. I want to introduce to you to a very special young boy that's with me here on my right. This is Sapo King Ramos, a young man who at the ripe old age of 7 has already captured the attention of serious golf lovers everywhere, and probably the envy of more than a few golf enthusiasts around this council chambers. At an age when most children are learning to walk and talk, young Sapo began to learn how to play golf. Sapo King Ramos has exemplified the commitment and dedication and sense of fair play necessary to excel in this very elusive sport. Often compared to Tiger Woods, who was also a young golfer as a child, Sapo's zest for life, warm heart, and love of competition has helped him capture many awards and trophies, one of them being right here in front of us. Among his accomplishments, and please colleagues, hold your tears until I'm finished, Sapo made his first birdie at the age of 3 at Arroyo Seco Golf Course. His first birdie at the age of 3. And these are not short, they didn't change the course for his age. It was regular play. Also at the age of 3, he played in his first tournament and won Rookie of the Year from Montebello Junior Golf Program. Sapo was awarded the Mexican-American Golf Program Junior Player of the Year in 2005. And at the ripe old age of 4, Sapo became the youngest golfer on record to record, get this, a hole-in-one when he put one in the hole with one swing at the Verdugo Hills Golf Course. Many of us golfers pray for one of those holes-in-one in our lifetime, and he has already done it at the age of 4. Sapo King has also won 46 trophies and medals, 31 for her first place, and has been featured on ESPN, NBC4, ABC7, Univision, Telemundo, and he was the star of one of our Christmas parades in the Northeast Los Angeles Christmas Parade. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present this resolution to this young superstar. We wish him continued success and happiness as he shoots for the stars and rises among the ranks of the world's greatest golfers. And I'm very proud to say that he's also a CD14 resident. Congratulations, Sapo. On behalf of all of the City of Los Angeles, our mayor, our city attorney, and our controller, our city clerk, we want to present you with a certificate from the City of Los Angeles to encourage you to continue doing what you can to show that all is possible. Congratulations, Sapo. You're welcome. You want to say a few words? No one said a few words. Tell everybody thank you this day. Thank you, and I'll continue doing what I'm doing.
Thank you, and I'm going to continue what I'm doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huizar, for that amazing presentation. Thank you.
Turn the items that are close.
Okay.
Introduce you to his parents, Robert, who's here, and Angelica, and thank you so much and congratulations on raising such a superstar as young Sapo. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Huizar. That was a great presentation. Very, very enjoyable. All right, now we will go back to the agenda, and we will begin with public comment. Our first public card comes from Richard Kearns, followed by Norman Welch. Are Richard Kearns or Norman Welch present? Why don't you two come up? Norman Welch? Great.
Good morning. My name is Richard Kearns. I'm an AIDS activist and long-term survivor, medical cannabis patient and advocate, poet and journalist. I stand before you today to advocate for the medical cannabis community because we are a community, because our lives and well-being are in jeopardy from a government agency attempting to influence public health policy by perpetrating terrorist-style attacks against the citizenry. Many people suggest to us that the issue of medical cannabis law is best resolved at a federal level. I suggest that the most persuasive argument we can present to the federal government is the establishment of a working local community model for cannabis distribution despite constant attacks, because the DEA thinks the sick and dying are easy pickings and would have us believe staying alive is against the law. Understand this movement as a massive civil disobedience campaign. We are breaking federal law thousands of times a day in defiance of and in opposition to outdated, unpopular, unjust, and lethal public health policy. Here is my vision of where the road ahead leads. I see the evolution and formation of stakeholder-style medical cannabis community councils representing patients, caregivers, dispensary operators and staff, growers, transporters, and advocates interfacing with the LA community at large, city administrators, and local law enforcement. I ask you to reconvene the working group and charge it with overseeing the community building process. I ask you to advocate with us in Congress and hopefully that Councilmember Zine will be able to join Supervisor Ross Macarimi from San Francisco. Please join us in our civil disobedience, principled and practical, because just law is good medicine. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next speaker, Mr. Welch, followed by Stephen Milling. Mr. Milling, are you here? Or you can come on up. You're next.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. My name is Norman Welch. I'm a medical cannabis patient and activist. As you can see from the many times that we've appeared here, I think you all know our issues and what we've asked you for, because you're intelligent people and we've been here a lot. I'd like to especially focus my attention on the two people who have kind of been against us a little bit in our struggle, Mr. Parks and Mr. Smith. Please, if you could, find it in your hearts.
Can you hold the clock, please, for the speaker? Sir, I'd just like to remind you that you do not need to direct your comments to people specifically, but to the general body. Thank you very much.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't know that rule.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Please start his clock again.
I'd like to wish the whole City Council happy holidays. I'd like to thank those who supported us. I'd like to encourage those of us who have not supported us to please look inside your hearts, make a New Year's resolution to at least meet with us, talk to us, hear our sides, please, because we do have a side, and though we're very diverse, and therefore sometimes we're stigmatized because not all of us look like all of you. But please look past that. We all have illnesses that are best served by medical marijuana. We've tried other things. They haven't worked. I don't know what else to say, so I'll leave it at happy holidays and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Next speaker is Mr. Milling.
Hi. I would like to thank you all for the good things that you're doing and for allowing me to speak here today. On August 13, 2007, Housing Department Inspector John Savko made my landlord Eugene unlock my door and violated LAHD policy by entering his head into my home and performing a search while I was objecting. Subsequently, 3 other LAHD officials used threats, coercion, and or intimidation on me. California Civil Code Section 1954 clearly states the inspections that are allowed. A SCEP inspection is not in that law. Mr. Garcetti is not confused as to the law. This page comes from his council district website. It has his face on it. It is evidence that he knows the law but is fostering a misreading of it to avoid the question of probable cause and circumvent the Fourth Amendment. It lists the famous 12 legal grounds for eviction. Number 6, tenant's refusal to allow reasonable access to unit. That is misleading because it was truncated and taken out of context. LA Municipal Code Section 15109 actually lists very specific reasons for eviction. Reasonable access, taken in the context of the law, refers to the time of day and scheduling concessions. Here's what the law actually says. Landlord may bring an action to recover if the tenant has refused the landlord reasonable access to the unit for the purpose of making repairs, for the purpose of inspections or improvements, or inspections as permitted or required by the lease or by law. So it's not some nebulous term denoting a notion of how a powerful majority decides things are going to be. It's obviously Mr. Garcetti's intention to mislead the public into thinking they cannot refuse SCEP inspections, when LA Municipal Code Section 161.601 clearly states in black and white that we can. You, the City Council, along with the DA's office, the LAPD, the LAHD, and the small claims court system are colluding to undermine the Constitution and allow the curtailing of civil rights by referring to this type of infringement as minimally invasive. Colonoscopies are minimally invasive. The message I'm getting from you is to suck it up.
Thank you very much, sir. Your time is up. Thank you. Lenny Fisher is our next speaker, and Lenny Fisher will be followed by Arnold Sachs. So, Mr. Sachs, you can start making your way up here so you can be at the mic next. Thank you.
Good morning, Council. Happy holidays.
I came to you folks about a week or so ago and asked some questions, and I'm grateful that I did get some answers. Shannon from the city clerk's office did respond very quickly and very efficiently, and I commend her for that. Apparently our regulation and our ordinance is stuck in planning, Mr. Reyes's committee, and I would like to see that move forward and see if we can get it back to the city attorney so that all the good hard work that was put in by city staff and people, other advocates for all those months can be reflected in that ordinance. The ordinance that came back is unacceptable. We're not planting a bunch of gardens all over the city. We have storefront collectives where people that cannot grow their medicine themselves can come, get their medicine, get a little bit of social support and what have you. And I truly believe that a lot of us are doing good work, and we need your help. We need your help. We need the city to move forward on this quickly, swiftly, with efficiency. So again, to our advocates that sit on the council, I ask you to get with Councilmember Reyes and let's see if we can move this forward. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Arnold Sachs. Mr. Sachs will be followed by Phil Jennerjohn. Mr. Jennerjohn, are you here? All right, so you'll be the next speaker after Mr. Sachs.
Please reset my time again. You're such a bunch of crooks. Maybe you can start packing also, Madam Chair. Your time will be up soon also. I'd like to recap what happened on Wednesday a little bit regarding this huge debate that occurred in City Council chambers over whether to provide funding for the City Controller in her lawsuit that's filed against the City Attorney's Office. And we have three different parties that are involved here. A, we have the City Attorney's Office, who was charged with interpreting the city council charter regarding the rules for the city auditor. Yet this is the DA's office that had trouble interpreting the rules regarding the use of city property by his family members. Then we have the city council, whether or not deciding to take advice from the city attorney's office. And they had to go all the way back to a previous council members like 20 years ago. But when the city attorney's office gave them advice regarding putting term limits and ethics on the ballot 2 Novembers ago, he told them, well, that's illegal. Did the city council listen to the city attorney's advice then? No. And then, of course, we have Laura Chick, who says she's doing it for the public. But where was Laura Chick when she was asked about the tax increase, the funding that went for the garbage increase that went to the police department that was supposed to go for
Thank
new
you
police?
very much, Mr. Sachs.
But
your time is up.
Madam Chair, and I'd like to have my time set up.
Thank you. Mr. Jennerjohn will be our next speaker. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, Mr. Jennerjohn is our next speaker. Mr. Jennerjohn will be followed by Jim Dimon.
Okay, good morning. You gonna turn my mic on? Okay, good morning, council members. My name is Phil Jennerjohn. I'm currently a candidate for mayor. I'm here today to talk about the big news of the week, the proposed bailout of the big three automakers by the federal government. Now, before you get to cut me off and say, wait a minute, that's not a city matter. Well, absolutely it is. Just please allow me to continue and I'll explain. I'd like to start by saying free market capitalism works. It is what has made this country great. Controlled economies do not work. Have any of you council members ever been to Cuba? Well, I have, and it's not a model that anyone should follow. Free market capitalism allows buyers and sellers to make financial transactions that are mutually beneficial to both parties. There is no force involved. It is an open display of free will and freedom of choice. I am absolutely opposed to any federal government bailouts of any companies. It is an act of force and an act of theft against all tax-paying citizens in this country. The federal government in these situations is rewarding failure. This is a dangerous and very possibly catastrophic precedent for us to set. We already bailed out Chrysler before, and here they come again, hat in hand. Where does this merry-go-round of nonstop bailouts end? Well, the answer is it doesn't. I'm very afraid that we're headed down the dark road of socialism in this country. These are bad companies with bad products. I should know. I own one of them. They need to be allowed to fail. There are cowards in the federal government who are afraid of what will happen if these companies fail, but there have been many who failed over the years. Montgomery Ward's, Woolworth, Eastern Airlines, Pan Am, and it hasn't been the end of the world. Unfortunately, our city government has come to follow the lead of the state government and federal government. They waste money on things that don't work. Our city government needs to stop being so anti-business and anti-development. If I'm lucky enough to win in the upcoming election, I can guarantee you that that is going to change. Thank you for your time. My name is Phil Jennerjohn, and I'm running for mayor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dimon. And Mr. Dimon will be followed by Walter Bechtel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is pronounced Mr. Dimov, V like in Victor. Thank you very much. I hope every one of you will receive my paperwork. I am very disappointed of the unconstitutional law the City Council established regarding gathering signatures in order to qualify to become a person who would run for office. This is unconstitutional and this should be changed. And I would beg the City Council to pay attention. Would you please listen to me? I see you talking to each other. That's not fair. Listen, this is very important, what I'm going to say. This is important for the whole United States, if you please. So I would like to start from Los Angeles. To be on the ballot. I collected the signatures, could not do it on time. And they told me I'm not allowed to run for mayor of Los Angeles. That's not fair. It is ridiculous to have unconstitutional law. Anybody who cannot collect the signatures, and what they're for? People doubting, they're not interested in me, let's say, or somebody else. We don't want to vote for you. We don't want to be our mayor and so on. And I'm going to talk to you just a few seconds. I have the answer for all the problems we have in the United States. The economy is going to be sky high if I become the mayor and later on governor of California. Everybody is going to be self-employed and we have no more problems, no more homeless, no more taxes, if you please. We'll be rich and super rich. But I would like each councilman and women to pay attention to what I'm saying and to come to me.
Thank you very much, sir.
Call me. I have the phone number there.
Mr. Bechtel, you are our next speaker. Thank you. And after Mr. Bechtel will be Mr. Zuma Dog.
Okay, thank you. I'm coming in about the same thing. I don't think anybody's listening to me. I just want to reiterate some things about the fact that when I was speaking about Mr. Weiss, I was talking because my people and Mr. Weiss's people go back a long time. My people descended from the Hittite people, and Mr. Weiss's people, the Jewish people. And when I was saying what I had to say,
sir, may I stop his clock for just a second? I'd have to admonish you from directing your comments to specific council people. Please address the body.
I'm going to get to that in a second here. I was trying to explain that I wasn't addressing myself to Mr. Weiss. I was trying to explain something about a situation that's going on in the entertainment industry. So I just wanted to make that clear about that. I'm not directing it to Mr. Weiss. I was trying to direct that to problems we're having with some people in the entertainment people who are illegally copyrighting stolen intellectual property. And I was trying to address that kind of thing. I didn't want anybody to misunderstand that. But that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to try to reiterate, and some people may have thought I was talking to an individual. I'm not talking to an individual. You can hear me now? Oh. Okay. Well, I was trying to only. I wasn't trying to speak to an individual. I was trying to speak about a problem we're having amongst several people. We've had problems in the past, and that's all I was trying to say.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Zuma Dog, followed by Cheryl, I believe it's Aichele.
Am I on the camera yet? I need a triumphant entrance today. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, it's the moment I've been waiting for. Zuma Dog, I've been on public access TV for 8 years. I told everybody in this room I'm a much bigger star than all y'all on day one. And I'd like to remind everybody, the reason I'm standing here right now as qualified candidate for mayor under the name Antonio Villaraigosa on the ballot, and the reason why you have to endure this LA Weekly article, which I'm about to read, is because you are... Okay, Venice Beach, remember why you're here. I wanted to sell my damn Zuma Dog shirts. Matt wanted to sell his damn stupid incense on Venice Beach. The mayor lets illegal vending taco trucks all over the city, right in front of McDonald's and restaurants and grocery stores and produce places. And you wouldn't let me sell my shirts. You wouldn't let him sell his incense. So now Zuma Dog, candidate for mayor on the ballot. Go to ZumaDogForMayor.com. And I'd like to read out of my article in LA Weekly, and it's about public access. And again, you shady you-know-whats. Let's see here. Wearing a black ski cap pulled down to his eyes with a black wraparound sunglasses and a black T-shirt, he looked like a bank robber. But as host of the Zuma Dog Show, he's not only one of the most recognizable figures at City Hall, cordially greeted by passers-by, including security guards and Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa himself, Zuma Dog also has the ear of high-level insiders who feed him information in hopes he'll expose and possibly stop one of the questionable city council projects. Oh, do I love this. And you could read much more at ZumaDogForMayor.com. We're talking about the public access article in LA Weekly. And I'd like to remind everybody, first of all, Sergeant of Arms, I've got 11 signed copies. I'll be signing them tonight at Casa Princesa in Eagle Rock, Weezar's district. It's the Mayor Sam Zuma Dog holiday party. The city of Los Angeles is invited. Come on by, 4527 York Boulevard. Go to ZumaDogForMayor.com for more information. And thank you, City Council, for making me
Thank you very much,
the LA
Mr. Zuma
Weekly.
Dog. Our next speaker will be Matthew Dowd. Mr. Dowd? Before Mr. Dowd speaks, Ms. Eichley?
My last name is Eichley. Thank you very much. I'm a medical cannabis patient, and I would like for all city council members to listen. I drove from the west side. It's not a sob story. You're paid to listen to the public, and I'd really like what I have to say to be heard and considered. Please put us on the ballot so that we can address this issue fully, and please reconvene the working group so that we can move forward. I'm a medical cannabis patient. I rely on medical cannabis dispensaries to get my medicine. I cannot grow it myself, and I rely on safe access from these dispensaries. That means I rely on you to regulate them. Without regulations, we need regulations. I really hope that the City Council is listening to me right now as I speak about medical cannabis. I know you're all very busy and have a lot of responsibilities to run this city, but I do need you to understand how important this issue is for me. I paid $9 to park. I'm not paid to be here. I'm here for a very important reason. Please reconvene the working group. Also, in addition to that, we'd like you to move forward on any efforts in Congress. There is a San Francisco superintendent who is pushing for, his name is Ross Merkamami, and he is pushing for congressional oversights in Congress. Please, medical cannabis, it's an important issue to me. I'm a patient. I rely on the dispensaries, which means I rely on you to regulate the medical cannabis dispensaries. I need safe access. I do not want to buy on the black market ever again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next and final speaker during public comment is Mr. Matthew Dowd, and then we will go through the roll call again.
Hey, thank you so much. Now look what Zuma Dog turned into.
obnoxious as ever, running for candidate for mayor. And I'm proud to say I brought him in here one day a couple of years ago. And if I seen a picture of Bill Rosendahl in my local paper, stop taking the glasses off, Bill. It's, you know, I know it looks better. You look more dignified with the glasses. You're trying to, you look like Mr. Magoo. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Anyway, I want to talk about Obama and how it pertains to the city of Los Angeles. He said it, you know, that governor in Illinois, Dragojevich. See the corruption with these power play, money for play politicians, and that's why the city of Los Angeles is not going to be represented in his administration. Because he's checked on Antonio. See, Mayor Antonio, he was on the Hillary wagon. And he looked into his reputation and his, corrupt administration. Same with Eric Garcetti. With his mom trying to drag his family into a corrupt campaign contribution, which is corruption in the city of Los Angeles.
Please stop the clock. Mr. Dowd, again, you have to refrain from directing your comments to specific council members, and please address the body. Thank you very much. You can start his clock again.
At least they stopped the clock. They stopped the clock. We're getting somewhere. But it's totally relevant. I can talk to the city council about the president being corrupt and not getting anywhere because of that. It's legal. Ask the city attorney. Why don't you get a ruling from the city attorney? That's what you have him for. Oh, wait, they're too busy typing up these documents against me.
Stop the clock for Mr. Dowd, please, again. And again, Mr. Dowd, I have to ask you kindly if you can direct your comments to the body and not to specific council members. Start the clock, please.
Thank you so much for allowing me the, platform to vent my frustration with the city of Los Angeles. That's my final sentence.
Thank you very much, and that marks the end of our public comment period. And before we go through the agenda, and before I ask Madam Clerk to go through the roll call again, I just want to recognize two of the officers here, Officer Joe Lopez and Officer Steve Morris, who were recognized yesterday at Officer Appreciation Day, and they provide service to us 3 days a week, so congratulations. Now, Madam Clerk, if you would please do the roll call.
Alarcon?
Okay, Mr. Alarcon give him a second to get to his seat. Okay, let's start that again, please.
Mr. Councilmember Cardenas is excused. Councilmember Gruhl. Councilmember Hahn.
Just say here.
Councilmember Weezer. Councilmember Labange. Councilmember Parks, Councilmember Perry, Councilmember Rosendahl, Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Weiss.
Just hang on for a minute. I want to make sure we still have a quorum. Do we have a quorum without Mr. Weiss?
Okay, Councilmember Wesson and Councilmember Zine and Garcetti are excused. So there are.
Do we have a quorum? All right, Mr. Weiss is here. All right, let's proceed with the agenda.
Item number 1 was called special. There is a card on this item also. It's a public convenience or necessity in Council District 10.
All right, Mr. Wesson, this is your item. We have one card on this item from Mr. Matthew Dowd, and if it's your pleasure, we will ask him to go first. Mr. Dowd?
Yeah, thank you. I've spoken up about these before, and But since it's in CD10, then I think it's probably had its fair share of scrutiny. So Matt Dowd is going to kick this one through and look for an aye vote from the City Council. And medical marijuana is better than alcohol. We have all the advocates here and there's doctors, and but it's off the topic. I'll save it. I'll yield the rest of my time to the councilman, Herb Wesson.
Thank you. And again, if I could ask for some quiet on the sides of the council chamber so that we can hear. It's very difficult to hear with people talking on both sides. Thank you. Mr. Wesson, this is your item.
I asked for a grant of the PCN.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll on this item? Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item, please.
Next is item 30, and there's a card on this item.
The three cards on this item. This first speaker will be Mr. Arnold Sachs. Is Mr. Sachs present? Followed by Zuma Dog and Matthew Dowd on item 30.
Yes, as always, your special events. And I come again requesting, since you require, or since you submit to the wishes of a few religious organizations in their wish to move special events from the weekends because they interfere with services, then all special events be moved from weekends. Because if it's the few that can create policy for the city, then the few have created policy for the city. Be consistent in your policy. The marathon, which is a special event, was moved for two reasons. One, because people came and said it interferes with their right to worship on Sunday or their ability to worship on Sundays. Well, any special event that occurs in the city on a Sunday and or a Saturday, you will find somebody who will have their right to worship interfered with. You've set the precedent. You've lowered the bar so low, or you set the precedent and the bar so low. Maintain your performance level. Lead from behind like you usually do. Special events on the weekends, cancel them. There's a Monday and a Tuesday. And also, please look into having them televise the Super Bowl on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And since that occurs on a Sunday, nobody will go to church then either.
Next speaker is Mr. Zuma Dog, followed by Mr. Matthew Dowd.
Yes, my name's Zuma Dog. I'm candidate for mayor. More about me at zumadogformayor.com, and you could read even more at this issue of LA Weekly on newsstands now. This is about the special event fee waiver, and if there's one thing I could say as candidate for mayor that I've spoken about more than anyone in the city, I brought this up, and now everybody knows about the special event fee waivers. And what we have here, first of all, for example, this is money that comes out of the general fund. When there are events throughout the city, they waive the special event fees, things like the recreation, the cleanup, the police, the traffic enforcement. Comes out of the general fund. Now, remember, people, we're talking about closing down park and rec facilities. They want to cut back the hours of libraries. They're going to have to do layoffs. We're talking massive budget cuts. They want to put hiring freezes on fire and police. Yet they continue to approve money for these frivolous parades and festivals, and I'm here to say that much of these are in violation of what the special event fee waiver was intended for. And, for example, I'd like to say we have extreme belt-tightening measures that you must enact immediately. Zuma Dog, as candidate for mayor, has come here for the past year and a half and warned you of the pending economic crisis. I told you, due to the deflating value of the dollar, that the oil prices would be skyrocketing, which would cause inflation, which would cause food prices to go up, and the foreclosure problem. I predicted this exact situation when I was criticized, mocked, scorned, and told I was crazy. Now we were here exactly, and all the time I said special event fee waiver money should not be used for these events. Keep it in the general fund. When you're talking about not hiring police and fire, cutting back libraries, firing people, start with these parades and block parties. I know it's never easy to make cuts. You say, well, gee, this is for this and this is for that, and we need this and that. It's called decisions, and they're tough to make. Zuma Dog for mayor. Start here.
Thank you. And again, if I could ask my colleagues on either side of the chamber to keep their voices down or stand in the hallway. It's causing a high level of noise. It's difficult to hear. Mr. Dowd, you're next.
Yeah, thank you so much. See, and listening to Zuma Dog, see, I agree that's an executive right there. He should be the chief executive. I don't expect him to run the city. It's full of departments who run the city, but we need an executive, a chief executive who can actually make the right decisions and start cutting back on some of these things that are costing the city and putting in. The mayor says it's a $467 million debt when he was standing here with Oscar De La Hoya. I was right here, Oscar De La Hoya, and the mayor, and he stood here with Rocky Delgadillo and said, wow, I'm way off, right? But here's where I'm getting to, Rocky. I'm tying Rocky into Jack Weiss because he's running for city attorney.
Madam President, if this has to do with special events, if the speaker can tie it in, please.
Okay, Mr. Dowd, stop his clock. Mr. Dowd, again, I'm going to have to admonish you to, number one, not address individuals, and you can address the group collectively, and to stay on topic on the matter before us, which I believe is a special event motion. So please speak to that. Thank you very much. Start his clock again, please.
Thank you. Yes, Jack Weiss has one of these special event fee waivers. And it's the SLS grand opening on December 4. It's already been, but it says the event sponsor shall reimburse the city for all fees and costs associated with this event. And that's what we've been fighting for, and Jack Weiss is doing it. However, it's 2008, and he brought out the memo in 2001 on May.
Okay, again, Mr. Dowd, I will admonish you one more time that you need to direct your comments to the group collectively and not to individual council members. Thank you very much. Please start his clock again.
Okay, City Council. Jack Weiss, I'm talking about him. I want you to know what he's doing. It took him 7 years to get these people to reimburse these funds. So I'm talking about him. I'm allowed to talk about Janice Hahn.
Stop the clock again. Stop the clock again. Mr. Dowd, I've warned you 3 times now. So, you're going to have to lose your privilege today if you can't. There's no more room for warning.
So let me get this straight. I'm not allowed to talk about Jack Weiss to the City Council.
I need for you to address the body collectively, please.
I am. Hello, City Council. I'm Matt Dowd on Channel 35. I'm talking about Jack Weiss's.
Thank you very much. All right, your time is up. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, if you could please open the roll on that item. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Next is item 34, and there's a card on this item.
Mr. Arnold Sachs and Mr. Matthew Dowd. Mr. Sachs, if you'd like to come forward.
Yes, item 34, Human Rights Day, a never again day in L.A. I'm reading from Thursday's December 11th, L.A. Times, dying needlessly in Zimbabwe. And I'm just going to read a little part of this article. The clinic's nurses staged a sit-in for 10 days, ending last week to protest their monthly salaries of 5 million Zimbabwean dollars each, the equivalent of 14 U.S. cents. Now there's a human rights day to be declaring. 14 cents. You go out and buy 2 liters of Coke, your deposit
do with the item on the agenda. Nothing.
Mr. Sachs, please stop his clock. Mr. Sachs, again, as you're well aware, you have to make your comments focused on the matter before us. The matter before us is here, posted on the board for you to see, and it is regarding Human Rights Day. So if you could please focus your comments on that, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Please start his clock again.
You are declaring Human Rights Day in the city of LA when there are injustices where people are making 14 cents a month. When you step up and say, what the heck is going on where people are making 14 cents a month, then maybe you can turn around and start declaring Human Rights Day. Otherwise, send your deposit refunds to Zimbabwe. It's worth $5 million Zimbabwean dollars. Don't talk human rights when such injustices exist. Don't talk human rights that never will occur, no tragedies, no massacres, no genocides will occur when situations that are just like that are talked about in this article, when you have tyrannies that exist.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. Our next speaker will be Mr. Matthew Dowd. Mr. Dowd, just so that you're aware, you're down to your last 2 minutes for today.
In that case, I'll just take one on this one. See, and this is exactly my problem with the city of Los Angeles and exactly what they did to us. It's like you had a council meeting on Wednesday. Why didn't you resolve this on the day? This says December 10. That's so typical. Yeah, Human Rights Day was 2 days ago. It's over now. See, that's how it looks. It's like, what are you doing it today for? What a complete waste of time. You know, I'm even allowed to say it's dumb. I think it's dumb. City Council, if you vote for this, is dumb. So at least I can say that, Channel 35, and they didn't have to stop the clock. I'll yield the last 14.
Madam Clerk, please open the roll on that item. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Next is item 36, and there is a card on this item.
Mr. Arnold Sachs is our first speaker, followed by Mr. Zuma Dog and Matthew Dowd. And Mr. Sachs, just so you're aware, you have 1 minute left to speak for today.
Yeah, I'm really concerned. Could you be more specific, or the City Council here, designating the city's entities that will apply and manage the JABG gang intervention grant funds? Would those be departments? Would those be agencies? Exactly what is the definition of an entity here? Now, when I watch Star Trek, Spock usually dealt with the entities. Do we have Spock from the planet? What the hell planet was he from? Or maybe we could get Captain Kirk to take over and deal with the entities. The descriptive language used in some of these agenda items, then you compare to what happened with the descriptive language used when you were deciding the lawsuit regarding the city attorney and the city auditor. Every word was researched and relooked and redone. But here we have entities. And of course, the public is led to take the City Council's word that things will be done and handled in a open, transparent manner. God, it makes me sick when I say those words.
Thank you very much. Mr. Zuma Dog is our next speaker.
Yes, my name's Zuma Dog. This is a very important issue to me as candidate for mayor of Los Angeles, and you could read more about my agenda and platform at zumadogformayor.com. And again, I'd like to remind everybody, LA Weekly on newsstands about public access, page 27, where they feature Zuma Dog. And I'd like to talk about this because this is about the gang intervention grant money. okay, juvenile accountability block grant. And that's what I'm here to talk about, accountability. Because we have, when I was out gathering signatures to become candidate for mayor, people said, gee, Zuma, what do you think's important? Why do you want to run for mayor? The biggest thing I say we need to focus on, that I will focus on as mayor, is the nonprofit money, this money, federal and state money that's given to nonprofits to provide programs to the kids, these gang intervention programs. I want to make sure that money makes it into the streets and not into the hands of front-end loaded management contracts. I'm very concerned about the mayor, Antonio Villaraigosa, and what he has done in his first term. He's consolidated power. He's basically taken all these nonprofits, the gang intervention money, and put it under his one shady roof. Would you trust Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa with all the grant money for these gang intervention programs? I really wonder if people watching would trust one man to be in charge of all this money. I certainly don't. So I'm here to say, as mayor, I will be running audits into all of these programs when you're handed money over to provide services to the community, to make sure it goes into the community. Because if I've learned one thing as an activist here, that it's always for one thing, then it goes for something else. And I'm very concerned about cahoots, flat out racketeering, flat out corruption, flat out fake shill nonprofits with cronies and family members, and the money goes into these front-end loaded contracts. The money doesn't make it into the community. Then what do they say? Well, gee, now we need to triple your trash collection fees to hire new cops, but then they don't hire them. Now we need to put a property tax on to pay for the problem after they just spent all the money and wasted it. ZumaDogForMayor.com.
Mr. Matthew Dowd is our next speaker on this item, and then I'll go to you, Mr. Wiese.
I have a request to speak. I don't need to speak on this item.
Oh, Mr. Dowd, I'm sorry. You've used up your time allotted for today. Thank you very much. All right, I have to apologize. The city attorney says you have 1 minute left for today.
Thank you. If you're watching online, check the time code when I got the apology from Jan Perry, and you can mark that down on your computer. It's a first. But look, see, 2.5, maybe 3 years we've been coming here with Zuma Dog, and now he's right. He knows everything about these things. And look at all the things he talks about, and he's right about these front-end loaded contracts and how some of this money doesn't make it to the community. And it's shady. Look at the Jamil's Law thing. Jack Weiss held that up, but they lost all their signatures now, I'm reading. So there's things that need to be
Madam
looked
President, you can speak on topic, please.
So, Zuma Dog,
Mr.
Mayor.
Stop the clock. Mr. Dowd, for the fourth time today, I have to admonish you to please stay on topic and speak about the topic before us, which is the Juvenile Accountability Block Grant Program, which is up there on the board. Thank you very much.
Noel Weiss for City Attorney.
Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And would you please send this item forthwith? Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to ask if we can reconsider 39 for the purposes of a directive to the City Attorney's Office.
Okay. Without objection, can we open the roll on the issue of reconsideration, please? Open the roll on that, please. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay. Mr. Reyes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam President. So I want to ask the City Attorney to have Summit Media case briefed at this closed session on Tuesday. As we continue this item for Tuesday, wanted to add that they be prepared to brief this council on the Summit Media case as well.
Good.
That's fine. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, without objection, that'll be continued with your amended instruction for the record. Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes.
38. Next item.
Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Next item is 38, and there's a card on this.
All right, I have two speakers, Mr. Dog and Mr. Dowd. Just for clarification, does Mr. Dog have time left to speak today?
1 minute.
Okay. How much time does Mr. Dog have? Mr. Dog, you have 1 minute to speak today, and Mr. Dowd, You've used up your time for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Perry. I'll talk doubly as fast because I got to say 2 minutes worth of things in 1 minute. I'd like to say we're talking about track maps right here. And when you say, okay, for the past 2.5 years I've come here and I've said track maps. Nobody knows what they are. But when you sit in rush hour traffic because you got way too many high density projects around not enough infrastructure and around not enough anything, well, that's because these trap maps have been popping up like mushrooms. I've been saying these trap maps are popping up like mushrooms, and now we are stuck with a huge density problem with traffic. But here's the real issue, and this is the thing I'm most proud of as Zuma Dog, candidate for mayor. I said, you're not going to have enough water. You sat here and built all these high-density projects based on these track maps, and I'm here to say, when you see wood, it's no good. Zuma Dog for mayor says, when you see wood, it's no good, because that means it's another monstrosity density structure with not enough traffic, not enough anything, but the main thing is the water. I said it, and now we got a statewide crisis. There's not going to be enough water for all these high-density projects, and I'm not kidding. And if I could just say one final sentence, this is very...
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dog. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, Mr. Huizar, you pressed your button on this one?
Thank you very much. I would request that we continue 38H, please, so we could get some clarification on this item. I understand there's some litigation, maybe some litigation on this parcel.
And to what date would you like to continue this matter?
Tuesday? That's fine. I'm sorry, make that Wednesday. Wednesday.
Okay, so without objection, we will continue that matter until next Wednesday. The date is December the 17th. All right, thank you very much. Open the roll on that. Close the roll.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item.
There are motions for posting and referral.
Those motions are posted and referred.
Madam President, there are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Weiss requests to arrive at 10:45 on January 7th for personal business. This meets policy.
Mr. Weiss is excused.
Councilmember Smith requests to be excused on June 2nd, 3rd, and 5th for personal business. This meets policy.
Mr. Smith is excused.
Councilmember Perry requests to be excused on January 9th, February 6th, March 6th, April 3rd, May 1st, June 5th, July 10th, August 7th, September 11th, October 2nd, November 6th, and December 4th for city business. A motion is required for January 9th.
All right. Would someone like to make that motion for me? Okay, fine. It's AQMD business. All right. Madam Clerk, can I make that motion for myself?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Rosendahl has volunteered to do it for me. Thank you very much. Seconded by Ms. Brule.
That clears the desk.
Okay, members, are there any announcements? Mr. Reyes.
Everyone have happy holidays. Enjoy your time with your family and friends.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes. I also have an announcement to the public. The City of Los Angeles is in the process of redesigning its website and would like the public's comments for redesign through a survey. And the department wants to encourage everyone to complete the survey by accessing it at www.lacity.org no later than Tuesday, December 16th. Any other announcements, members? All right, if we could all rise for adjourning motions, please. Okay. Ms. Hahn.
I'd like us to adjourn today in the memory of Mary Udovac, who passed away on December 7th. She was 91 years old and had always been a very active member of the San Pedro community, where she served as president of the Peck Park Seniors and the Federation Council of Seniors. She's survived by her 5 children, Yvonne and her husband Mark, Joe and his wife Cheryl, Marilyn, Annie and her husband Alan Johnson, and Nancy and her husband Richard Havenick. She's survived by 4 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren, as well as her brother Sam. A memorial service for Mary will be held at Green Hills Memorial Park at 11 a.m. on Monday. Mary certainly has left an incredible legacy herself, but also she has wonderful children and 2 great sons-in-laws who are also very, very active in the San Pedro community.
Members, any other adjourning tributes? All right. I have one. In memory of Robert V. Edwards, he was born December 15th, 1940 in Baltimore, Maryland, and passed away last Monday, December the 8th, in Cleveland, Ohio. He was a hero to his family and a very well-respected and admired friend. He was Professor Emeritus of Chemical Engineering at Case Western Reserve University, where he was recently honored for 40 years of teaching and research. Mr. Edwards is the father of Mark Edwards. Many of you see him in the chamber on a regular basis. And Mr. Edwards, Mark Edwards, the son, is an employee of Afriette Consulting. Robert Edwards is survived by his wife, Ann Lindsay, and his sons, Mark R. Edwards and Robert F. Edwards. He will truly be missed by all who knew him. Well, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?